What's going on, guys? Corey from Yoda Expedition here. We have Kai from Tinker's Adventure, and we're going to be taking a look at the TRD lift kit for the 3rd gen Tundra. We have an SR5 Tundra behind us on the lift. We're going to be doing a little bit of comparison between this and that, also the TRD Pro suspension. So the first thing we're going to be talking about is why would you want this lift kit for your Tundra? So first of all, this lift kit is made by Toyota. So if you have Toyota install this for you, it's going to be under warranty. It's not going to void anything. And then if you get it done at the dealership, you can just lump it right into your monthly payments, and you're not going to be spending a whole lot of money at one shot. Also with that, this is a 3-inch lift kit. So you're going to be getting a lift in the front and rear. You can fit 35s then on your Tundra. Kai, you have anything else to add?
Yeah, so adding a lift height is the most obvious part, but what I really like about this kit is first the added suspension travel. That is very big, a very rare thing for an IFS lift. The other part is all the suspension geometry correction thing, we will show you later. And one last thing is a tie rod reinforcement. As we know, IFS, the tie rod, inner tie rod is prone to bending, and this one has a reinforcement. We'll also get to the axle, which there are some details about the axle.
Going off of some of those parts that you mentioned that correct the geometry, let's go over pretty much everything that's included in the kit, or more or less some of the bigger ticket items.
Okay, the new spring gives you the new taller ride height. The new shocks is actually longer, so give you more wheel travel in the down travel side, more droop. The new upper A-arm corrects for caster, and the new lower knuckle corrects for camber, so you don't max out your adjustment cam bolts.
On the lower control arm.
Exactly, right. Correct. The new sway bar end links is stronger than factory, and the sway bar drop puts the sway bar back to 100% efficiency. The bump stop spacer limit how far up the tire can go. It basically reduces up travel.
So you don't have to worry about your tire or anything hitting your fender.
Exactly.
Right.
Basically clear large tires even if you go off-road. The new outer tie rods is simply stronger, and this goes hand in hand with the inner tie rod sleeve, basically strengthen their entire steering linkage. And at last, this new CV axles has a beefier inner joint with higher angle capability than the SR5 black axle. It is also slightly longer than the red axle came on TRD Pro and off-road. Because we added droop travel from the shock, we need a longer brake line to prevent the factory one from getting stretched. So for the rear, we didn't have a new spring for the lift height. We just have a spring bucket spacer, which is totally fine. The spring is not the limiting factor for any travel. The rear shock is longer than the factory one. So again, you add droop, you add down travel, which is beneficial. And for the bump stop, we actually have also a bump stop drop. So it limits how far up your tire can go, helps you fit larger tires, even you want to go off-road and use your suspension. And at last, because we added droop from the shock, we need a longer brake line, just like the front. So overall, we're not simply adding some lift, we're adding suspension travel. We corrected for suspension geometry, strengthened the steering, and we have a better CV axle. So if you're curious about the more technical details on each and every part and how they work together, I welcome you to check out my channel, Tinker's Adventure, and I'll make a full video dedicated for this kit.
So other than all the things that we have here laid out on the table, there is a lot of other stuff that comes with this kit. Nuts, bolts, hardware, you name it. There is a lot, way more than most kits that you would see on the market. You can get this kit from Toyota for $29.95. Comparing that to some of the other kits on the market, for example, Icon Stage 2, it's pretty much the same price. You're going to be getting the same amount of lift, but you are not getting nearly as much as you would with this kit from Toyota. From Icon, you're only getting front and rear shocks and upper control arms. You're going to be using your factory springs, and you're not going to be getting any other parts included in this kit, like your axles and all the other stuff to correct your geometry. So that's a pretty good point. when it comes to this Toyota kit. Kai, do you have anything additional that you want to add to what you're getting for the price here?
Yeah, I think for compared to many other aftermarket kits, the added suspension travel is a big part for me. It's very unclear on the aftermarket if they add travel at all. The upgraded axle, especially if you have an SR5 black axle, this is very big. And at last, strengthening the steering. There's a commonly weak point in IFS vehicles, so strengthening the steering is a huge part for me. And the other part I really like about a Toyota kit is these bushings on the shock, top and bottom, and also on the control arms. These are double bonded rubber bushings that is maintenance-free, squeak-free, and it will last a long time. And most aftermarket ones use Heim joints on the shocks and on the upper control arm. Those will not last nearly as long and will make noise. So unless you're building a proper race truck and actually racing for money, I will always pick a double bonded rubber bushing like the OE parts.
All right, Kai, so if you had anything you would want to change for this Toyota lift kit, what would it be?
I think probably the shocks. These are 2-inch diameter Model 2 shocks. I would love to see a 2.5-inch diameter shock with more fluid capacity and a larger piston area for the damping force. Especially the newer Tundra, the shocks are mounted more inboards that further stress the need for a larger diameter shock.
So long story short, a 2.5-inch shock over a 2-inch shock could just take more abuse for a longer amount of time.
Exactly, and also with the larger piston area, you have the potential for a better tuning.
Right. All right, Kai. So my next question is, would you rather have an SR5 Tundra with this lift kit installed versus a TRD Pro with the factory Fox suspension?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think that really depends on your use case. In my opinion, for this kit is for someone who want a taller lift height for better look, and they do mostly slow speed wheeling, some overlanding. This is the better option. And for a TRD Pro, I think it's for someone who actually want to do high-speed off-road. That's 40, 50, 60 miles per hour on actual off-road on trails. For those high-speed off-road, higher lift height is not what you want. You actually want to keep everything low. So the TRD Pro has that. And it has a 2.5-inch internal bypass shocks that is simply a different level of tuning and damping for high-speed dynamics. So if you want high speed, the TRD Pro, lower lift height is better. If you want to do everything else, I think for most people, I think this is a better deal.
Right, and the SR5 with this installed is still going to be way cheaper than a TRD Pro.
Correct.
Yeah. So Kai, do you think this is a kit that someone could install on their Tundra in their garage with some normal tools?
Yeah, I think so, because most of these are bolt-on. The hardest part is probably pulling the axle and put it back and swapping the spring with the top hat. But I think the biggest part is not bolting on these parts to the truck, but more so is the ease of alignment. Like we show you, all these parts are non-adjustable. Toyota correct the geometry with just the nominal geometry difference with the new part. So when you take it for alignment, everything is standard procedure. The 2 lower cam bolts for caster and camber and the tie rod for toe. But if you get aftermarket ones, they don't have all these new geometry parts. Instead, most likely they have an adjustable upper control arm. And adjusting those will be a lot more difficult. There are a lot more knobs to turn to balancing things. And many shops would not even know how to do it. So this, I think, these fixed part with the corrected geometry is a lot easier for alignment, and you get a much cleaner result.
Right. And as far as time goes, Toyota quotes the install of this kit around 20 hours of labor. So whether you're doing it yourself or you're going to have a shop do it, it's kind of a good starting point of how long it's going to take. All right, guys, that's going to be it on taking a look at the TRD lift kit for the 3rd Gen Tundra. I want to thank Kai for helping me just go over this and helping you guys understand what it is and what you get. So anything else you want to say?
Yeah, thanks Corey for having me here today. It's very excited to see this part. I've been dying to see this kit in person and I finally see it. So many interesting designs. I was always wondering why it has so many parts. Now we all understand. So if you want to see a even more technical, more in-depth reviews on all these parts and how these work together, please check out my channel, Tinker's The Venture. I'll be releasing a video there. Thank you for having me.
Yep. All right, guys, thanks for watching.